I'm Barry Bailey. This morning I want to think with you about the idea of the sin of religion. I started to call it the sin of Christianity, but that's too narrow. It's pervasive. You find the idea of building up a big God and people are little and you're insignificant, you don't mean anything. And then we develop the idea that everything that happens is according to God. God brings a baby into the world, God causes war, God does everything. Well, that's perfectly ridiculous. What we have is some idea of a big God that we've created, and people are unimportant. Actually, the human race is the most important thing in the world, and I think that's what Jesus taught. But before I get into that, I want to make a statement. I've never read this anywhere, but I've never had an original idea in my life either. What I think is important as an individual, it seems to me, is have your belief, get grounded in your belief, whatever it is. It may be silly to other people, but it's important to you, it's important. But then think like an atheist. That is, allow your mind to explode, no limits to it. You're grounded in your belief, and then you're free to think. But don't reverse it. If you reverse it, you'll let your mind be the religious thing, and underneath you'll live like the atheist. And that's what we do. We lie, we steal, we cheat, but we say, look how religious we are. That's utterly ridiculous. Well, I'll discuss that more later. Now I want to think with you about the idea specifically, the sin of religion. We know better than this. We know there's not some big God out there that controls everything. That's absurd. God is a spirit, and a spirit doesn't even have any power. A spirit is presence. A spirit is like gravity. It draws us in, and Jesus teaches the idea. God is a spirit. Know the truth, and the truth will make you free. But look how we work. We have this idea of the big God, and you find it in every religion. You find it in Judaism with Yahweh. You find it in the Muslim religion with Allah. You find it in Christianity with God. A big God out there that we hold up and worship, and while we do it, we worship that God and we kill each other. That's utterly absurd. The human race is more important than the idea of God. God is an idea that we create. You can't relate to that. You have to have something that has an emotional attachment. You can relate to the human race. The only way you can find God actually is in the human race. Jesus taught it repeatedly. Inasmuch as you do it to the least of these, you can't find God in just an idea. If the human race is not sacred, nothing's sacred. What we need is an understanding where we diminish the idea of God and find God in the human race, and the most important thing in the world is the existence of the sacredness of the human race. I think the best idea I know of the definition of God is the sum total of the sacredness of humanity. How can you beat that? That's where God is. Apart from that, you can't find God. You are sacred. It's not that you get rid of the idea of God. You have a different interpretation of God. You find God in love, and Jesus did this repeatedly. Jesus was grounded in whatever he believed. There's a great statement in the New Testament. It said, as was his custom, talking about Jesus, on the Sabbath, he went to the synagogue. Don't you know Jesus had outgrown the synagogue? This is where they sacrificed animals. And Jesus is talking about love and forgiveness and kindness. You cannot make me retaliate. Jesus, in his own belief, was grounded, but he went to the synagogue. That's a great way to live. Be grounded in your belief, but allow yourself to think as the atheist. By this I mean it's not mean, it's not destructive, but don't confine it to any kind of a creed. You have no idea how bright you are. What can you come up with? Explode the ideas. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He had his belief. He went to the synagogue, which he had outgrown, but he did it as a habit because in his own belief it was important to him. And then look what he did. He explodes with ideas. He teaches things that we will never in this world outgrow. Blessed are the merciful. How fortunate you are when you are hungry for what is right. Think what he did. He had his belief, and he allowed himself to create. It'd be a wonderful thing if you and I did this. We have no idea how bright we might be, but we will never find what we need to find as long as we keep doing the same thing. As long as you think God controls everything, and it's big God and little you, we're not going to get very far. But if you get grounded in what you believe, whatever it is, it may be silly to someone else, but if it's important to you, it's important. Get grounded in your belief, and then allow yourself, in the name of everything holy, to let your mind explore. Would that make a difference? I don't know. But I think it's worth trying. I surely enjoyed visiting with you.